guy. He's had 14 years of experience working in video production. But the reason that I met Kenny a couple years ago was through his incredible drone work. I know that some of us here in the club are into drones and some of others have questions about drones. Hopefully Kenny will have a lot of those answers for us. Been licensed by the FAA for 8 years, been flying drones for 8 years, 5 years teaching, so clearly the person with patience and all that to ask the questions about. And currently he's a photo specialist and a drone pilot for the Santa Ana Police Department. So with that, Kenny Lane, thank you for joining us, man. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I think everybody got this or some of this on the newsletter. His Instagram handle is OC_drone_productions. Okay, so it's there, but it's missing the underscores. All right. Thank you, Kenny.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm here to talk about myself, but more to educate you guys on the whole drone thing. There's a lot of things going on with DJI. Most people fly DJI drones, but it looks like they might be banned here in a couple months, so that's going to possibly change a lot of ways of how we find drones, how we use them, who are we going to use, who has the best cameras, because DJI has the best cameras right now. They have the best optics for the price range. So, what's that? There you go, yes. So, yeah, like, I grew up in Tustin, so I'm local. My wife's from Mission Viejo, so I come down here a lot. I worked for DirecTV for about 14 years. I didn't put satellites up on people's houses or anything like that, 'cause every time I always say I work for DirecTV, they thought I was an installer. So, no, I wasn't. I was a video production guy. I worked on their original content, a lot of football when they owned the contract with NFL, so Red Zone Channel, a lot of that. Dan Patrick Show, if you're a sports person, you might know who he is. Rich Eisen Show, couple other shows that we used to do. So did a lot of production with that. So video work, video editing, camera work, streaming. I got into streaming towards the end of my career there. So I know about broadcasting and streaming, stuff like that. Did 8 years. I'm 8 years as a FAA licensed drone pilot. So I started to get into it about 2016. I'll get in more to that. I started my own business around that time, so it's just a side business, OC Drone Productions. So I'll pretty much do anything. Weddings, I don't really care for weddings, but I'll do them. I just did one a couple months ago, or actually earlier this month, down in downtown LA. But it was easy. All I had to do was take photos. I do a lot of video stuff, so I'm more of a video guy than a photographer, even though I do take photos and people like my photos and do buy my photos. I don't really consider myself a photographer. I consider myself a videographer or a cinematographer. So hopefully that didn't hurt your feelings there. But yeah, I love photography. I grew up doing it. But I'll get more into that. So yeah, I also teach in college, drone courses at Mount Sac and Glendale College. I'm not teaching at the moment just because my current job takes a lot of energy and time, and I'll get into that. So I'm a video and photo specialist. Video photo specialist and drone pilot for the Santa Ana Police Department. It's pretty cool job. I work for the CSI department. So I do a lot of surveillance footage. I pull a lot of video surveillance footage from people's residence or from businesses that have captured a crime. And we're starting to get into the whole drone thing at Santa Ana PD. So I'm at the ground floor with that. So it's about to take off, no pun intended. But with that, we're not looking at to buy DJI drones. We're looking at Skydio, which is American made, or at least American company, and Brink. So those handle more of the public safety stuff, but we're not touching DJI gear at all. So, and funding like that, like especially federal funding, they won't federal fund any like DJI type buying equipment. We'll get into it, yeah. Oh, what's that? Sorry. Oh, DJI is a Chinese company that makes drones. So DJI. Sorry, did I say DJ? G? Sorry. DJI. Sorry about that. But yeah, they're a Chinese drone manufacturer. They own about 70% of the market in drones here. So pretty much everybody in the United States flies DJI at a consumer level. So yeah, we have issues going on with the government, U.S. government, and the Chinese government. They might be using our data for malicious reasons. So they're looking to ban DJI drones. DJI drones. So I'll get into that shortly. All right, here we go. Like I said, I grew up in Tustin. I went to Tustin High School. I started to get into photography at a young age. I'm not professionally trained. I didn't go to school for it. I just learned. I used to do, buy the Kodak throwaway cameras, just point and shoot. I always liked to document things. But yeah, I had a passion for it, but it's always been around me. Like it wasn't always what was driving me. It was just around me, and I liked doing it. Then I went to I started getting into film in high school, so I started getting into video cameras. I like film, I like video. I was a big movie guy, so video was always a big thing to me. I went to Cal Poly Pomona, communications major, with emphasis in broadcast journalism. So I actually went to school to be on TV. So I wanted to be, possibly a sports, announcer or journalism, stuff like that. Didn't really care to be in front of the camera. I like being behind the camera, and that's kind of the path I took. And then in 2007, I got my first job with DirecTV as a PA, which is a production assistant. And that kind of led my stepping stone to where I am today. Just a little bit about my photography. I'm a big sunset guy. As you can see, that's Newport Beach looking north at the jetties, so it's looking towards like Huntington Beach there. The top one there is the Wedge. That's on a big day. You can see the people there. That's a top-down shot. And then there's me, of course, with my print of Huntington Beach, which is a 5-photo merge panorama. So I like when I do prints, I like to do gloss metal. They look great with drones. I don't know is that something you guys like doing too? Yeah, I'm big on that. Canvas, of course, looks good. But I really think with drones, the glossy metal looks the best. So like I said, my career, 14 years, did that. Photo, I'll start with the photo. Surfline, the train there in San Clemente, that's one of my favorite trains to ride to San Diego. It's such a fun time. Hopefully it doesn't wash away, so yeah, love that photo. Top photo is kind of by the Balboa Pier. That's on a bigger day. That's a young kid. I think he was skimboarding there, so he's running away from the wave about to crash. And then a shot of a Porsche, photo shot of Porsche. So I've done some photography for like dealerships and stuff like that, for like hypercars and stuff like that, car shows. So I sometimes get to take some drone photos of some cool cars. Okay. Here we go. Let's go to the next one. When and why I got into drones. Around 2014 was the first time I saw a drone video. I knew it was a game change, just because we, you know, we never saw that type of stuff, especially from a drone, only from like a helicopter or from an airplane, right? So definitely got into. So once I saw that, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. I knew it was groundbreaking. It was new. It was right up my alley because I was a video guy and I love, making videos, and to get an aerial perspective was huge. You don't have to rent a helicopter. I mean, to rent a helicopter costs, $50,000, for possibly 10 minutes of footage, right? So now we're getting drones that are costing, $1,000, $1,200, under $2,000, and you're getting that shot. Yeah, maybe not the best, as good as a camera on a helicopter, but pretty good where we are now. I know at 2016 it was still new. The technology wasn't there. The cameras weren't that great. I mean, they were good, but from where it started until where we are today, it's a huge leap. So it's great. So yeah, like I said, in 2016 it was new. There was not much information out there. There was no YouTube videos, how to, right? There was nothing. I was trying to figure out, like, how do I get licensed? Like, how do I make money doing this? And then they created the Part 107 in 2016, and I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. I have no aeronautical background, so I have no clue I don't know FAA laws, I don't know any of that stuff. So I took a class that I was able to find, which I don't know how I found it. I kept looking and this thing popped up, and Cal Poly did this extended learning class. So you can be an adult and take it. You didn't have to be like a full-time student. You just had to pay for it, and it was like about, I don't know, maybe like about 3 months, like every Saturday. So that's when I started learning everything about drones, like the FAA laws. Because like I said, there's more to it than just taking photos. Once you get into the whole drone thing, I mean, you're dealing with FAA laws. You can't just fly where you want. You can't just do what you want. There's a lot of rules and restrictions that you have to follow. And I know a lot of people will just, buy a drone and do whatever and fly wherever and do whatever they want. People fly drones and make money without a license. That does happen. But I always wanted to do it the right way. I wanted to learn about this stuff and, and not half-ass about it. So that's kind of how I got into it. And then in 2017, I finally took my test, and I became a Part 107 FAA license. So back then, like I said, there was no YouTube videos on how to. I had to learn the book. The FAA had a remote pilot book, and I had to learn it on my own. So, like I said, I just tried to make it make sense to me. Like I said, I had no aeronautical background, so, if you're a pilot, that stuff is easy for you. But most people are not, so understanding that was really tough. But today, there's YouTube videos, there's online classes, there's so much information out there that can help you and help you pass the test. So once I passed my license, I started my business, OC Drone Productions. People ask me what OC means. It's just Orange County. That's it. Yeah, there's no other thing to it. I thought, well, I'm from Orange County. Let's call it OC Drone Productions. I've made quite a few. It's been really lucrative for me. It's a side hustle. This is not my full-time job. A lot of people do it as full-time jobs. You can do it. There's a lot of avenues in this industry. You don't have to be a photographer to make money. You could do inspections, roof inspections. You can do all kinds of stuff with this. You guys see how big it is now. Some of my big clients are, I did drone stuff for DirecTV when I was working there, so if anything was on site or like an event, or if we had on-site productions, I was doing drone work around the city or whatever, just for like B-roll stuff for the shows. Nitro Circus, which is like a, crazy motocross, they do flips, stuff like that. Better Buzz Coffee, actually, the one that just opened here in Laguna Hills, I think it's off here, La Paz, not too long ago. I was there for the grand opening to do a video for them, just a marketing video. So I was there for that grand opening day at like 4 a.m. Yeah. Rip Brewery, Bomber Iowa, Newport Beach International Boat Show. I did that a couple years ago. I did some of the drone work for that. Newport Beach Junior Lifeguards. I've done that the last 3 years, just helping them with the B-roll of drone stuff. Like I said, weddings, construction, real estate, and marketing videos. I do sell prints. I don't have a print shop, but people do buy my prints, or I license my print. So it does happen. I'll talk about these photos. You can do long exposure with drones. It can be done. What do you think is one thing what variable is different than doing groundwork with long exposure? What do you think the difference is? Yeah, you don't have a tripod. Drone is what? Hovering, which is what? Moving. So, which means what? We can have a lot of blurry photos, right? So it does happen. You have to. It can be done. It can't be windy. If it's super windy, you're gonna have a tough time because your drone's hovering and it's just gonna, keep moving, right? So, light wind. If you're gonna do like a broad daylight one, you're gonna need an ND filter, right? I think this one, I did it with an ND 1000. So it can be done. Certain drones, like the drones I have, or the drones you would buy, you don't have as much control as if you had like a DSLR, right? You can't do an endless time of a, long exposure. You can only do, with a drone, maybe 7 to 8 seconds of a long exposure. So you are limited with drones. They're not like having a mirrorless or DSLR, ground camera. Second photo up there, that's the Greystone Mansion in Beverly Hills. Cool, it's been in a lot of movies. It's a public park. You can go there, it's free. I did take a photo there. I did get hassled by security. He actually wanted to confiscate my drone, but that didn't happen. But basically, when I do photography or video at locations, I do a lot of pre-work. I want to know if I'm flying somewhere where it's illegal. Am I allowed to fly? I need to know airspace. Like this park, it says in their website, doesn't say anything about drones or nothing, but it says no commercial work. Well, if I'm just going there to have fun and take a photo, it's not commercial work, right? And if there's no sign saying no drones, then I'm okay. It was open airspace, so I'm good to go. I'm not selling this. I'm not doing any of this. So I went there, took a couple photos, but yeah, security came and hassled me, told me I couldn't take photos, and I asked why, and he says, well, there's signs. Well, there's no signs. He couldn't even show me. Basically let me go. But I'm just saying, when you get into drone stuff, it's not just showing up and do whatever you want. There's a lot of rules that you might have to follow. You might not even be allowed to even drone there, So I know a lot of people just do whatever, but it's also, you have to do your due diligence, because you can get in trouble. If you do anything against FAA regulations, and people can report you. I know people that have been fined. I had a friend who flew his drone in trying to think, a national park, Death Valley. Okay, he flew it in Death Valley. Okay, he didn't get caught at the location or even flying, but he posted it on Instagram. So if you're gonna do something illegal, maybe it's not wise to post it on social media. So yeah, he got fined by the interior, whoever runs the interior of department. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and he got fined about, I think it was about $500 to $700. So, and he had his dog off the leash, and he got fined for that too. So, somebody was mad with him. I don't know. Someone reported him probably, but so yeah, you don't have to be caught in the act if you post it. I mean, you're showing that, hey, I did all this, so you can't get caught. And then third photo is the Wheel of Misfortune. Have you guys heard of that? Okay, Wheel of Misfortune is on the way to Vegas. It used to be these, I'm guessing, I want to say silos, or I'm not too sure, but it was a big pit of whatever. They were taking rocks, whatever. It's abandoned, whatever. I don't know the whole history of it, but a couple artists went out there and painted this. And this thing's huge. I know this photo probably doesn't do much justice, but it's huge, and they painted this whole, Wheel of Fortune type thing, but it's called the Wheel of Misfortune. I think it's more, geared to Vegas, right? You lose all your money in Vegas. So that's pretty cool to check out. I've heard that they're going to demolish this sometime soon. So, don't quote me on that, but there's a good chance it might disappear. So it's not very far from the 15 freeway. It's before Vegas. It's easy to find. If you just type it into Google, you'll find it. So if you ever want to check it out, there is a parking lot. There's a guy that runs it's like a gas station or boat thing, and if you pay him $5, you can park in his parking spot or parking lot. So your car won't get messed with. If not, you're parking on the side of the road, and just throwing that out there for you guys. And then you have to walk over to it. But if you have a drone, you could just fly to it, right? So you don't even have to walk. So that's a good thing with drones. You don't have to walk very far. You can just fly. All right, next one. So, like I said, I wanted to educate you about this whole drone thing. I know I'm here to talk about photography and stuff like that, but I more want to educate you guys about this stuff because a lot of people don't know about it. And you can ask me questions too here once we're done. You might have a lot of questions about it, but I just more want to educate you on this. There's commercial and hobbyist, right? Commercial is what? You want to make money, right? There's a hobbyist, which you're just doing it for fun, okay? You can be a hobbyist and take a photo, and if someone wants to buy that print a month later, that becomes commercial, right? Because now you're accepting money. So now you need a license. So you can fly under your Part 107 if you become licensed. That's the FAA license, is Part 107. You can fly under that just for fun because those are certain rules that apply to that. But for the most part, you're going to fly Part 107 to make money. So even though you are a hobbyist, they want you to take a recreational trust test. And that just gives you basic knowledge of drone stuff, like drone laws. Like how high to fly, where not to fly. Like you can't fly in a national park. Don't fly during emergencies, right? Like the one guy that hit the airplane, the water dumper there during the Palisades fire. He was just fined like $150,000 and a little bit of jail time. So yes, and that was done with like a mini drone, like a very small drone, and Look at the impact on that airplane. They had to take it out of commission, right, for like a good amount of time. So that's the thing. A lot of people, they see cool things, they want to, get that shot, but there's all these laws that are around it. So, like I said, hobbyists still have to follow FAA laws, okay? Just because you're doing it for fun doesn't mean you can just do whatever. You have to follow all these FAA laws. So that's the big thing, is a lot of people don't care or don't want to know, but it affects all of us. If someone does something bad, right, what happens? Something gets taken away possibly, right? So I'm very big on following the rules and, the laws and, not doing anything rogue, as they would say. But yeah. I'll go into a little bit of my photography here. That's a top-down shot that's in Big Sky, Montana. If you've never been to Big Sky, definitely check it out. It's super cool. The whole state of Montana is awesome. But yeah, that was really cool. I love the lighting off the trees. And you get all these cool different perspectives, right? You're getting bird's eye view, things that we don't see, Now we're seeing it all the time, of course. We're getting, but when I first started, it was crazy. I was just like, this is unbelievable. Top photo is Newport Beach. Those are the jetties looking south towards the pier. You can see the Newport Pier in the background there. That's during like a pretty good swell, south swell. I'm really into surfing, so I like beach stuff. I love sunsets. I'm a big beach guy. I believe that's a Ferrari. That was during one of my another car shoot. So it's cool to get to shoot all these hyper cars and stuff like that. It's always fun. I wish I could own one, but that's okay. This one is probably a couple hundred feet. Same with that one. The top one, probably 300 feet, 200 to 300 feet. You gotta be under 400 feet. That's the law. Okay. The Ferrari car is probably like 50 feet. So yeah, you don't need to be super high to get cool shots. You could be 50 feet, 75 feet, 100 feet. The higher you go, the less resolution, right? The lower you are, the more resolution, because these cameras are not the best. They're good, but yeah, the higher you are, you're gonna lose some resolution. Yes. No, these are photos. These are actual photos. Yes. Yeah, they're not screen grabs or anything like that. All right. Types of drones. All right. I brought a few drones just so you can check out, and if you want to hold them, you can. It's all good. But yeah, there's a couple different types of drones. We got the consumer drones like DJI and Autel. And then you have FPV drones. If you don't know what FPV means, it means first-person view. And when you're flying first-person view, you're using goggles. So now you're wearing goggles to fly, okay? And you're flying drones like this that have a GoPro at the top. A lot of these are built too. I built this one, so you gotta, learn how to solder and stuff like that, and how to adjust the flying of it through a computer, stuff like that. So there's a big. Are you gonna take photos with these things? No, it's mostly video based. Yeah, because if you're putting a GoPro on, you're probably not. You don't even have a. You're not even able to hit the button to take a photo. So you're basically running video. And then we have, like I said, DJI Mavic 3. These are the drones you're gonna buy, at Best Buy or whatever. You can see this is a like I said, Mavic 3, this is a micro four thirds sensor, so it's a pretty good camera on this. This is going to run you, you know, about $3,000 to $4,000. You know. Yes. So you can kind of see right there. That's kind of how what an FPV drone would look like with a GoPro. And then you see the Inspire 3 up there. Those are going to be more your like filmmaking drones. So you're looking at $20,000 range of those drones. So not saying we wouldn't use that, but most of us wouldn't buy that, right? We'd be buying more of the smaller drones. Any questions on these type of drones? Yes. Correct. Yeah, it's a big gamble right now to buy those drones. We're going into unknown territory with this. We don't know, right? They're saying any new drones made won't be allowed if it is banned. So all drones we've had going on will be okay. But in the end, they'll become obsolete, right? Because firmware won't be updated. We'll lose warranties on top of that. So that means if you crash your drone or whatever and you need to send it back, there might not be anybody to send it back to. Parts will become harder to find. So if you know how to fix them or you know a repair shop to fix them, you'll run into issues with that. So yes, that's kind of the big issue right now is this whole ban, because DJI runs this industry for us. Yes. Who do you what? Well, if it's banned, nobody's replacing them. So if your drone breaks or whatever. Oh yeah. So American drones, we don't have many. Okay, if not any really. I mean, we do, but the cost is really high, and the cameras are not there yet with them. So it's trying to find them. Like I said, Skydio, they were in the consumer drones, like making videography type drones, but now they're all about public safety. That's their focus. So they're dealing with law enforcement, you know, fire departments, stuff like that now. So we're running into this gray area, and we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I'll answer your question. But yeah. Right. Right. They're basically giving you more. They're not restricting you. Okay. Well, that's good that you're getting it back. Geofencing? Okay. So yeah, geofencing. Geofencing is basically like an invisible fence, okay? And they'll put it around something that's very restricted or they don't want flying over. So like Disneyland. Disneyland has its own airspace, okay? So they own their own airspace. And it's a big, it's, what is it, a good, I don't even know how far, 5 miles at least, if not bigger. So that means all of Anaheim, you can't fly a drone there. It goes all the way into Garden Grove, Santa Ana, you know, all in that area. So that whole area is a dead zone. So if you live there and you had one of these drones that goes off GPS, it won't take off because it already senses the restriction. Fly into what? Right. Right. No. if you don't have authorization. If there's airspace restriction and you fly into it, you need clearance. That's what it's saying. The drone won't stop, but you are now responsible as a drone pilot. That's your responsibility. So your drone might not stop, but you could still get in trouble. Correct. Yes. Getting clearance from like a airport. You can use an app. Yes. Yes. Correct. Yeah, because that's another restricted area also. Yep. 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 Well, that's good. At least you did your due diligence, right? If you didn't, then you might have gotten a ticket, right? So there you go. I'll talk a little bit about my photos, and then we'll go to the next slide. Of course, that's downtown LA. Do you think I photoshopped all the cars out of there, or what? That was definitely not over 400 feet. Yes, COVID. I did, because I was working in LA at the time, and I was still working. I had to go to work. I wasn't, you know, what do they call it? Non-essential, thank you. So I had to still go to work, but I made it a mission to hit a bunch of places up during COVID in LA. So I went to a lot of these spots where there was nobody around downtown LA, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that's right there. What is that, the 101, right? Yeah, 101 or 110? I can't remember. Of course, if you're a Dodger fan, you guys won the World Series, but there's a photo. One thing I really like about it is there's no smog. It rained just before that too, but since everybody was off the road for so long, the smog was actually gone. So I like that. And those cars, I think a rental company had all these cars parked in the parking lot at Dodger Stadium. So I just took a photo of that. So that's what that is. All right. Like I said, becoming FAA Part 107. So if you want to be making money or selling your prints, you'll have to have your license, okay? You can't play the I don't know card anymore either when you do have your license. So, because you're supposed to know everything. So you can't, someone says something to you, you can't just say I don't know. But yes, becoming FAA Part 107, so you got to take a test. And you have to take a test in person at a FAA sanctioned location. I took mine at a helicopter training facility over by John Wayne Airport. You have to study, right? This is not a test that you can just wing it. You really gotta put the time into it and really understand it. Because if you don't know, you're gonna probably not do well on it. Like I said, is the test hard? Yeah, it's hard. It's tricky. It's second. Yes. You don't need to register. If it's under 250 grams, you don't need to register your drone with the FAA. So yes, when you buy a drone, and if it's over a weight limit, like this guy, I have to register it, right? See the sticker right there? That's like a license plate for it. So yes, you have to, for something like this, yes, you'll have to register it. For something really small, you don't. But if you're making money, then you have to be licensed, okay? So, it's every 2 years. Yes. Are we running out of time? Okay. I'll speed it up. Sorry, guys. No, more, a little bit more. But yeah, there it is. 2 years, and then creating a business, getting full time into drones. You can do a full-time job. There, you can make a good amount of money. You can do a lot of work with it. There's a lot of ways of doing it. Like I said, public safety, construction, city jobs, delivery. farming inspections. There's all kinds. Let's get to the last one. This is, you guys will probably like this, and I'll wrap it up real quick. But this was a project that came to me in 2019. An interior designer came to me asking if I could do basically a high-res photo, top-down shot of a winery that was going to be a billboard size, about 40 feet by 18 feet, okay? The winery is Fess Parker Winery. You guys probably know who Fess Parker is, right? Well, he has a winery up in Los Olivos. This was 2019. I looked it up. I tried to see if anybody's ever done this with a drone. Because before you would use an airplane, right? With a high-def camera. So this has never been done. I had a buddy, a teaching buddy, who had more commercial experience in photography, who dealt with big billboards, so I brought him on. So we used the Inspire 2, and we spent 10 hours flying consistently, mapping this 700-acre winery. So you can see this is actually the Photoshop image, and that's over 600 photos. It was about a 25 gigabyte project, and we didn't know if it could be done or if it was gonna. I didn't have anything to do with the printing side of it. The interior designer handled all that, so I was just responsible of the image. So we did it. We thought it was good. Didn't know if it was gonna work. We got paid. Definitely should have made a lot more money, but since we didn't know if it was going to work, there was a risk in that. So she took a risk on us, and the Fess Parker Winery took a risk on us. So we did it, got her the image. Then COVID happened, because this was 2019. I didn't hear anything for about a year and a half, so I thought it didn't work out for her. So I was like, well, that sucks. But she called me, and it did work. And you can see, we'll go to the actual link, just because those photos don't really do justice, but I was invited, and they were able to, yeah, if you scroll down. And so this went into the actual, there you go. So that's the actual tasting room. So they redid the whole thing and went with that print. So that's 40 feet by like 18 feet. So that's huge. And the photo doesn't do a huge amount of justice, but if you ever go up there, if you ever get up there, check it out. It's super cool. It's huge. It's kind of the talk. Once you walk in there, it's in your face. The Inspire 2, yes, with the X7 lens. Just go to the next photo, please. And you can see another angle, I think. I think it's the next angle. So there you go. So good job on the interior designer and Fess Parker taking the risk and us doing it, right? I didn't think we could do it. I'm somebody that won't say no. I try to figure things out, and we did, and this is probably one of my biggest photography projects I've ever done. Photoshop. So I didn't, the text was added after, so those are the only things we didn't do, the printing and that text. But everything else we did. Okay, and then we go to my next one, which is questions, and then we'll wrap it up real quick. Oh, it's already done. Okay. Thank you. Sorry if I took a little bit longer.
Thank you very much, Kenny. It was good. Sorry, we have a deadline to be out of this.